Let me ask you this in closing, Nick. Just kind of a cut and dry. We talked a lot about there's a lot of decisions that still need to be made on how the money is distributed. There's the potential for more lawsuits. We'll see what comes out of Washington. Just a cut and dry. Is this settlement good for Nebraska athletics when you look at where the Huskers are in the Big Ten and the bigger picture of the NCAA and chasing championships?
It is. I'm absolutely 100% convinced that it is, because I think the people that are staying on top of this and understanding that there's a plan in the distribution policy that they will create, and whether that, again, is incentivizing certain programs or how you want to distribute all of those resources that you now have. I think that this thing Nebraska's been forward thinking, going all the way back to the collective part of it, that you understand that by having this new resource, there's more pressure on schools like Nebraska to take advantage of that, because this is a rich get richer system. Let's not pretend that it isn't. But Nebraska, fortunately, has done the right things with these new advantages in college athletics when it comes to being able to attract talent and being able to pay student athletes. So I think without question, this is a great thing for Nebraska, because as I mentioned earlier, if we're looking and starting with football and what that can mean if you have success on the football field, and how that can continue to attract and help you for other sports as well in talent acquisition. You are now in an era where it's going to be 16. We're at 12 right now. It's going to be 16 teams. They're going to be playing at the end of the year with a chance to win a college national championship. If you're Nebraska, this helps you get even closer to that group of 16, or even that group of 12 if there's a little bit of dragging the feet with that. But you're going into a different world of college football where you can pay, and the creativity that comes with that. We just saw an example, and I know it had nothing to do with the revenue share, but we saw an example of that creativity when it comes to talent acquisition and getting people on campus by Matt Rule this last Friday in the Battle of the Boneyard. Yes. There are creative thinkers all throughout that football program, and I think all throughout that athletic department, that if you give Nebraska, schools like Nebraska that are trying to play catch up with the big dogs because they were once there, having this type of settlement and this type of money at your disposal, where you can use that in another creative way to sell your program and sell your facilities and all of that comes with it, on top of, at the end of the day, all right, let's talk turkey. What kind of money can I be making here compared to Ohio State or compared to LSU? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about that. And you can put up a competitive offer. I think schools like Nebraska, without question, ones that have the resources, have the built-in following, the fan bases that Nebraska has, but are in that position, almost purgatory, where they're trying to get back into that consistent, perennial top 25 conversation. Because in my opinion, Kaleb, if you're in the top 25 come November 1st, you have a shot to make the college football playoff. That's not asking for too much given the resources. I don't think this type of money all of a sudden makes Alabama that much more dangerous, or makes Georgia that much more dangerous, because they've already lived off of those riches. I think it's the teams like the Miamis, the Nebraskas of the world, the Florida States of the world, the teams that have had those eras of success and are trying to find it back consistently, but already still have the built-in infrastructure to support this type of influx of cash. So absolutely, I think it's good for Nebraska.
I think overall the NIL era has been good for Nebraska in helping. And no, you maybe haven't seen the wins and losses, and I think some of that was more with the program itself when you're talking Nebraska football. But when you're looking at, yes, Ohio State in the $25 million roster. Yeah, there are some places that have done that. Texas Tech gets a national runner-up in softball because they found a way to get one of the best pitchers in the nation for $1 million NIL deal. Those things are still going to exist, and you're hearing how much Indiana men's basketball wants to spend this next year and all of those things. But in general, when you look at some of the teams that were in the college football playoff a year ago, some of the teams that were able to make a run in the NCAA tournament, you kind of see that year in and year out. But where we're at right now and what's coming up this week in Omaha, 6 conferences plus 1 independent.
Mm-hmm.
Only one league. The SEC has 2 teams there. No returning teams to the College World Series from last year for the first time since 1957. I don't know how much NIL has played a part in that. I don't know how much rev share will play a part in keeping the table balanced going forward. But from what I can see in the way Nebraska has operated financially and the leaders that have continued to operate in that way, I'm confident that the NIL era and now moving into the house settlement era is good for Nebraska and Nebraska Athletics, and also fully fund men's track and field and women's track and field. Just fully fund track and field, Troy. That's all I want out of this.
Well, I can see this, Caleb, to the point that we're talking about. It's almost like you're looking at who stands to benefit from this other than the obvious, other than your big time programs. Okay. And when I let's just look at the Big Ten for a moment. Is this going to be a game changer for, say, Northwestern, Purdue, or Rutgers? I don't think so. I don't think all of a sudden, oh, okay, because I think you're going to be in the same situation that you have been, where you're now that gap between the programs that you're trying to catch up with it becomes a little bit more increasingly bigger, because you don't already have that built-in infrastructure, the fan bases, the facilities. Now, Northwest is going to have a gorgeous facility, but again, in the grand scheme of all of it, I just think of the programs that are going to stand to benefit from this. Now, of course, there's always going to be those marquee college football programs that I just mentioned, but the ones like a Nebraska, I'd say even a USC in there would be one to keep an eye on. Washington, if we're looking at some of the Big Ten schools right now, these are programs that have the donor money that come to their collective, that have good facilities, that have a strong fan base that will follow this. And as we now know, can also donate. Maybe they're not traditional donors, but can donate and help when it comes to that collective. And they have a market name. They have a brand name. To me, those in Nebraska's in this category. Those could potentially be the sleepers, the dangerous programs in this new revenue share era of college sports. Like I said, when you're at the top, like the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Texases of the world, when it comes to spending, you can't go much higher. Okay. You can only put 105 people on a roster. At some point, there's going to be a lot. Well, not some point, it's happening. It's going on now. There's a lot more talent than just 105. So how do those schools, and I even mentioned the Florida States of the world, how do those schools take advantage of their past, of their current brand, and their current infrastructure of the actual give a damn that they still have, that these programs still have, and now use this new revenue stream to generate more talent acquisition? I think there are some dangerous schools out there that are lying in the weeds, and I really do think Nebraska could be one of them in this new era.